To connect the dots, I'm the head of the board of directors for Bridge Lacrosse. I coached the Hillcrest 7th, 8th grade boys with Mr. Hickey, and so he dragged me into this lovely group. A little piece of information from Muhammad Ali's funeral today. One of the speakers was Oren Lyons. He represents the Onondaga Indians and the Iroquois Nation, who I grew up next to the reservation playing lacrosse with the Indian, we called them Indians then, the Native American kids who started like Canadians playing hockey when they could walk. They were playing lacrosse as soon as they could walk. So I thought it was very interesting in the context of our little meeting tonight that Oren Lyons made the connection to Muhammad Ali, and the connection, he talked about the Onondaga Nation, which I grew up playing lacrosse with, and that's how I got here. And to the goalie, I played goalie too, and there is some mental toughness or some mental illness. Which side is which, but that's a good, yes, really good. My story is a little bit about what you do when you're faced as a child with some of the most unusual circumstances and how you cope with them. My dad was a retired colonel, fought in World War II. He was also a college professor who taught art and painting. So on one side, we had this little pit bull of a colonel who had us lined up, all 7 children of us, lined up like the Von Trapps, and took us across the world, various ways of sabbaticals and ways he got colleges to pay for his love of travel. So there was 9 of us at one point. We took a year off. We traveled 25 countries, put 35,000 miles on a Land Rover in a tent trailer. I actually, when I was about 8 years old, camped underneath the pyramids. So I've seen the world, and by the time I was 18, I had been more out of the country than in the country. So I had a fairly unusual childhood. But this next story was kind of the bookend of unusual, even for my dad. So he arranged, as a college professor, to start the off-campus program at Syracuse University. In 1970, he figured out how to get the university to pay him to go someplace exotic to teach his students in a place he wanted to go. So we picked Guatemala. We went to the University of Antigua. He brought 42 students and another faculty couple with him, and me, and my little sister, and little brother, and my older sister, and he went to live in Guatemala. My mother was ill with cancer. We lived there for about 3 months. She came down to visit. She caught pneumonia. We rushed her back. She died 2 weeks later. So, I'm 13 years old. We're living without my mother in this strange, exotic, wonderful place. We fly home for the funeral in my father's normal military fashion. A week later, we all pack up, we go back to Guatemala, and we continue the semester. Obviously, for a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 6-year-old, a little weird being in a foreign country, just having your mother die. But we push on. So one of the things he does to try to make us forget a little bit, he wants to go on a field trip. So we take a day trip to Honduras, and there's Mayan ruins all over Central America. If anybody has traveled to Central America, there's Mayan ruins all over the place. They're quite interesting. So we take a day trip across into Honduras. We visit the ruins. So it's my little brother, my little sister, his secretary, and her mother-in-law for some reason. I don't know why their mother-in-law is going along. It's Latin America. You don't ask a lot of questions. So we're at the ruins. The end of the day, the picnic's done. We had an okay time. We're going to leave. We go to the border. We want to leave Honduras, go back to Guatemala. Border guard's drunk. Wants a bribe. Father's a former military man. Not going to do it. Grabs our passports, jumps back in our 4-door 1970 Chevy Nova, and starts hauling butt the other way down the road. So my father's got presence of mind enough to recognize that this guy's going to radio ahead. He's going to say we're a bunch of terrorists, or probably at that time, in the 70s, we were drug smugglers or bandits. We're in the car, my father's presence of mind, we pull off, park it in the bushes, go swimming in the river as the military convoy goes by looking for us. We wait till dark, Get back in the car. Secretary's got a flashlight and a map. We're trying to figure out how to get out of Honduras. Like a lot of Latin American countries, there are military checkpoints all over the place. Father slows down to the first one, whistles blowing, hey, 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 alto, flies through. Flies to the second one. Now it's starting to rain, it's getting darker. And we're thinking, well, Dad's really lost at this time. He's blowing through these checkpoints. We come to the outskirts of the town. We start to run through this checkpoint again. He slams on the brakes. Why are you stopping at this one? You went through all the other ones. Just then, flashlights go shining through our car windows, doors fly open. Two soldiers get in the back, squish us together with loaded automatic weapons. One stuck on my neck. One climbs in the front seat, pushes his secretary over, and I understand in my reasonably good Spanish that they're taking us to town, to the jail, because we are terrorists or we are criminals. So about 11 o'clock at night, in some small town in the middle of Honduras, my little sister, my little brother and I, my father and his secretary, and her mother-in-law are stuffed in a 6-passenger Chevy Nova with 3 other Honduran soldiers with live ammunition and weapons, and we drive to the jail. Go to the jail, they take us out of the car, they march my little sister, my brother and I, separate us from my father, they take us to a jail cell in the back of the prison. Now it's pitch black, it smells awful, I'm only 13 and I'm supposed to be the brother taking care of them, and so we're huddled in the corner of this jail cell, terrified to move, hearing the moans and screams of the prisoners in the other part of the jail while my father's negotiating, trying not to get shot by not screaming at the military. Finally, his secretary convinces them we're not terrorists. They don't typically travel with 12-year-olds, 6-year-olds with their mother-in-law. That's really not the MO of most smugglers or terrorists. Finally let us go. Got the map again, got the flashlight, we're heading out of the country. We noticed that the roads are getting, the road that they gave us is getting muddier. We start noticing construction vehicles on the side. Just then, the road disappears, and we go shooting off a bridge into the embankment of a river down below. Dropping, kind of like dropping a marble into a bowl of pudding. Plop. Well, apparently, in Honduras and Guatemala, the road builders and the map builders aren't actually on the same page. So the map was done a little bit before the road was done. So I spent the night on one fender of the bulldozer, my father spent the night on the other side of the bulldozer, and the secretary in the seat. Next day, the road crews from Guatemala and Honduras show up. They're rather amused to see the gringos stuck in the side. How did you even get here? But they hooked us up to the bulldozer, dragged us across to the other side, and we finally got out and on our way. Now, the point of all of this is that at any time during that whole process, as a 13-year-old boy, I could have just completely come apart at the seams, but because how I was raised, and because at that moment I had a little brother and little sister that needed me, I didn't. Now, probably later on, I had a moment or two, and this was not unusual for my childhood. My point is, you will be faced, this is particularly for the young people, you'll be faced with situations that you can't even, it's hard to describe to other people, they don't even believe you. If you believe in yourself, and you believe that you can find a solution if you just think and stay calm. Mental toughness is about when you get faced with circumstances you can't control, going through and trying to understand a way out. And that's eventually how we got out of a lot of those situations that my father put us in. We all learned a lot of mental toughness growing up. And so I would implore you to stay with lacrosse, because lacrosse is a good thing, and it will teach you about mental toughness. But when you're faced with any kind of challenge, take a deep breath, think about your options, try to solve the problem, and have faith in your own ability. Have faith in yourself, and that will get you through. Thank you.